Hello and welcome to the Gags Tandon show. It's me and Eddie covering for Gags. Obviously, I would have said, hopefully you would have enjoyed that. We certainly wouldn't have enjoyed, obviously, that final. Eddie, how are you, lad? I know I've spoke to you over the year anyway, and we know the priority is the Premier League, but the way in which that final did transpire and petered out, really, it was very disappointing from the Reds, wasn't it, this afternoon?
Yeah, I'd go further. I'd say it's probably the worst performance we've had under Arne Slot. It was embarrassing from minute one, really. The first half, they were too passive. Seemed like a tactic to be that way. It seemed like that was by design, that they'll just kind of play it out the first half, try and take control of the game, and obviously try and establish their own patterns of play and try and do a bit more in the second half. I'm guessing that was the game plan. It's the only way that seemed, but Arne Slot has to realise very quickly you can't do that against cup finals, and they wanted it. Newcastle wanted it more. They were first in almost every challenge. Liverpool made far too many mistakes. The McAllister on Dan Burn thing still blows my mind. I can't get how that was a plan to start with. I can't get how it wasn't changed after the first time it happened, and yet it went on to happen another 4 or 5 times, and it was still allowed to happen even in the second half. Slot got so much wrong today, and I think he was schooled. Eddie Howe absolutely schooled him, and the Newcastle players schooled the Liverpool boys. Liverpool were dreadful.
Yeah, Reds, if you are tuning in for the first time watching Anfield Index, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Put your bell notification on as well. And if you are watching on X, you are watching on Facebook, head over to the YouTube. Very quickly closing in on 10,000. Much appreciated, everyone, for the great support as well. It's obviously, you mentioned a lot of those mistakes. Were you surprised with any of the players not starting? Firstly, in terms of the starting 11, I would like to have seen Cody Gakpo, the leading goal scorer in this competition.
He doesn't look fit though, and again, he didn't look fit again, particularly today when he came on. You know, I mean, I think he's just been caught out at the wrong time of the season, and I think this goes back to more than just today. You know, I mean, it comes down to slot squad use. Now, let's just put some mitigation on this. Liverpool are still 12 points clear at the top of the Premier League. So it's not like you can't say that Slot's got everything wrong, but his use of some of the squad has been left wanting, hasn't it? I mean, look at Chiesa today when he came on. He was the best player on the pitch, and we've not seen him. We've not seen him in almost since we got knocked out by Plymouth. We've not seen a jot of him with the first team. Not even a minute. And then today he gets thrown into the lion's den. But what rhythm is that boy expected to be in? What rhythm is Harvey Elliott supposed to be in? You know what I mean? Or Endo, and Endo didn't play today, but what rhythm, how Slot used this squad so poorly, you know, I mean, we've just not seen enough of these guys, and I think that came home to roost today. I'm not saying the starting 11 in itself was a mistake, but if you with hindsight, and I don't know if Slot would change it too much with hindsight, I really don't. I mean, Kevin's there saying that he's not sure about the starting lineup. What would you realistically change? It's easy to say, he'd have thrown Chiesa and Elliott and guys like that in because McAllister looked shattered. And what did Salah do today? Salah was hardly in the game. They completely cut the supply line to him. So I'm not sure whether starting 11 itself could have been changed so much. But I think that they're the mistakes that Slot's made prior to today that came home to roost today.
You would just look knackered as well, though, mate. I think for the 7th season on the bounce, this Liverpool team has been absolutely outworked, really. And obviously, I know you've spoken, obviously, Grizz already this season in terms of, obviously, the rotation between Gravenberch and McAllister. I don't think any of us want us. But firstly, we'll get your thoughts on, we'll go through, obviously, the first half performance from Liverpool. But firstly, I've got to say, Gags, as well, Newcastle, first trophy in 70-odd years. Historic moment for Eddie Howe and that Newcastle United side. They done one over us well and truly this afternoon, mate, didn't they? I think, of course, we can speak about how poor Liverpool were, and we will tonight, but to a man, they were absolutely exceptional off the ball, on the ball, worked very tirelessly. But thoughts on Newcastle's overall performance this afternoon, mate, from them?
I think they did everything that was expected of them. You know what I mean? They came showing that they wanted it. They weren't overly hyped, but they're very aggressive. You know what I mean? They're a very aggressive side. And I think when Liverpool go into a first half and play that passively with a number 6 like Gravenberch, who's not a number 6, and games like that show exactly why he's not a number 6. You know what I mean? Because that was the midfield battle. They knew exactly what they were doing. If they take Gravenberch out the game, they eventually subliminally cut off the supply line to Mohamed Salah, and that's what happened. Gravenberch could not progress the ball. He could not get the ball to McAllister and Szoboszlai in any areas that did any damage to Newcastle because we couldn't get the ball. Jota was a passenger again. He was as good as an empty shirt, absolutely hopeless. And the fact that Salah's just being left to kind of do it all on his own without any supply line is why Liverpool lost that game. In the first half, the game was really lost. And Liverpool were already needing something drastic in the second half. Joe Linton won everything, and he didn't play at Anfield when we absolutely bossed them a couple of weeks ago, and that came to show because he just won everything in midfield. He was a midfielder on the park, and it wasn't that Isak and that had a great game in the first half because they didn't. It wasn't. Liverpool were just so passive. They did. I don't think they had a shot until that weird Jota sliced nonsense in stoppage time in the first half. I mean, not a shot, not even a target, not even a shot.
It's so poor that, mate, isn't it? If we're being honest, like obviously you look at the Dan Burn goal anyway, which is very much on the stroke of half time, exactly when you don't want to be conceding a goal. We'll get to, obviously you've already alluded to it, mate, but it's an important facet of Liverpool's game that we failed to very much rectify. But as you can see here, chat, we all watched that first opening 45. As Eddie's alluded to, no shots on target. That's not good enough. Liverpool created a 0.26 more the ball, Eddie, but
but where was that possession? It was possession around Liverpool's box and going back and forth to Kelleher and Van Dijk and Robertson and Kwanzaa. You know what I mean? They didn't have that ball. If we saw some heat maps, I'm pretty sure that we're not seeing much outside Liverpool's back third in that period where that possession happened. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. So in terms of Liverpool's heat maps, in terms of
it's like a big wall look around the box around Newcastle's box.
Yeah, it's so as you can see there, as you allude to, not really a lot in around Liverpool. Well, next to nothing. The lighter, if anyone's new to heat maps, obviously the more red the areas, the more green as well. Obviously, that's where Liverpool, in terms of nowhere near Newcastle's penalty area. So it's not really good enough, in all honesty. But in terms of the header, it's the big moments in the first opening 45-minute gags. Eddie, really not good enough. You alluded to it before, Bud, in terms of it felt like the millionth time that ball was getting lobbed into the penalty area, and
that's like candy to it's like candy to a child.
He's 6'6" against someone that's 5'10". It's not good enough, is it? Like what you put that down to? Do you want to see a bit more leadership, really?
There must have been something behind it, but I'd love someone to ask Slot what the thinking behind it was, because we know Liverpool don't have a set piece coach. That's one thing, and we know that they've tried to get by with what they've had, but that was so negligent. It was so silly. I mean, Carragher said at half time that Jota should be put on him, and they didn't even change it then. Not that I'm saying they should listen to what Carragher said, because they wouldn't have heard that, but how can professional football coaches and analysts think that that's a good idea at any state in the match? It's like I just don't. I can't even think what the mitigation behind it would be. I've got no answer to that one, and I knew it would come up during the show, and I racked my brains in the whole of the second half, and then they started doing it again, and I thought I really don't get this one. And someone with a far more a far deeper caliber brain of football tactics is going to have to tell me what the thinking was there, because I have not got a clue what the McAllister on Dan Burn thing was all about.
Yeah, but we're just fans, mate, aren't we? The experts with the analytical brains in terms of all the data as well. But you were probably screaming at the telly, everyone screaming at the telly, or even the lads and ladies in the home end. Obviously at Wembley for Liverpool, it just wasn't good enough, mate. I personally wanted to see a bit more leadership. I get obviously the zonal, the quadrants really, but the fact that you can't be allowing any form of football, not even on the Sunday League pitch. But it wasn't just happening for the first time. No, Eddie, was it? It just seemed to be a recurring factor. You want to be, but as you said, no set piece coach. Could that be telling, really? But it is what it is. And Dan Burn, certainly a phenomenal header. I know people on the watch along were mentioning in the chat as well, saying that Kelly could have done better. But I think it's just a phenomenal header, really, into the bottom left corner, if I'm being honest, Eddie. But quite frankly, wasn't good enough. And summary of that first opening 45 minutes for you, mates, in terms of just wasn't
just passive. I think I was putting the word just passive. You know what I mean? It was really poor, and it's not just looking at the scoreline at halftime. Liverpool deserved to be behind at halftime. It just was awful. I mean, and it just carried on. That's the thing. So the first half, and Liverpool have had a few. Liverpool have generally been better in the second half than the first half. So what you hoped is that Slot would go in and come up with something to kind of change the direction of the game at halftime, and that never happened. I mean, they had the disallowed goal quickly after the break, and then they scored. They scored within a couple of minutes of that, and again, they deserved to. You know what I mean? It was all them. They were winning every ball, every second ball. Liverpool were like passengers. You know what I mean? We were just there to be the fodder today. We were dreadful.
And it's disappointing, mate. I know it's the added saying after the game, it's so much easier. Everyone going, oh, it's only the League Cup. It is the League Cup, but it's still a trophy at the end of the day, Eddie. There was an opportunity for a double this season, but as you said, there's a lot more games to go in the Premier League. And the biggest thing for me off the back of tonight's game was, Eddie and chat, is if this now creeps in some way into the Premier League. That's the most important thing off the back of tonight's game, Eddie, for me, is we can't allow that performance to creep into the Premier League football. For me, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I honestly don't think it will. I think it's a game in isolation. All we heard about was Newcastle's 70-plus year history of not winning anything. You saw their players were so desperate to win that today, and Liverpool just didn't show up. And I mean that can happen. It's sport. It's a one-off cup final. Liverpool lost the 1988 FA Cup final to Wimbledon and still won the league. You know what I mean? It's like I'd be worried if I'd be worried if the lead was a little bit more slender than it is. You know what I mean? 12 points, okay, Arsenal could cut it to 9, but Liverpool still have a game in hand going into the next one. I don't think it's going to have any impact on the league form. I think Liverpool have got so many games at Anfield to come as well, and I don't think the players would get away with that again. And I don't think they will play like that again. I don't think they'll play that passively. It's disappointing because it's a cup final. They should be up for it, but I think the wheels have just come off fatigue-wise. Hopefully, we see a few select injuries announced now that mean that some guys may not have to show up on international duty. That would be nice to take some tricks out of the Alex Ferguson playbook. That would be a good one. I would think Szoboszlai is definitely injured after playing that today, and Andy Robertson looked like he was walking on one leg at the end. I think if I looked close enough, I'm sure his foot was in a plaster in some sort of moon boot. So he shouldn't be going with Scotland to flog him. So hopefully they will, of course, be going. You know what I mean? But it's something that you would hope that Liverpool would have some sort of strategic plan around. We could do with McAllister having a couple of weeks off, because we don't play for 17 days now. You know what I mean? It's a massive rest.
That's ridiculous, mate. Just quickly looking at this chat, and I'm guessing you've seen the statistics, Eddie, in terms of the second half performance, but I'm very much blown away by the sheer amount of possession here. I didn't know. I knew we were dominant in the second half, but 75% possession to Liverpool in the second half.
Yeah, but look at the XG though. Look what it was turned into. Again, it was nothing. You know what I mean? It was they didn't do anything with that possession, and again, that possession was all the other side of our goalkeeper side of the midfield. You know what I mean? It wasn't possession. Possession's such a crap stat. It doesn't mean anything about the game. You know what I mean? It means Liverpool, Newcastle were happy letting Liverpool had the ball where they had it. You know what I mean? They didn't have to chase the game. They were 2-0 up. You know what I mean? It was all on Liverpool. Liverpool threw on some sort of
7. I lost the
1-2-0-7 formation and just started going for long balls, and they couldn't even win those long balls. It's ironic that the goal that Liverpool did score, that Chiesa did score, was a result of a through ball through the midfield. A lovely ball from Harvey Elliott, cracking finish by Chiesa. But that was the only time in the whole 100 minutes of football that we watched that anything like that even remotely happened, because Liverpool were trying long balls, they were trying crosses, and Fabian Schär and Dan Burn were just lapping those up, and then Joe Linton was winning the second balls. And if Liverpool touched a Newcastle player, they would go down. You know what I mean? Very street smart. The referee gave them everything that they wanted. You know what I mean? It played absolutely into their hands. I'm not saying the referee had a bad game, but certainly Joe Linton seems to get away. And I mean, I think he totally manhandled Harvey Elliott in that stoppage time to the ground. Of course, no yellow card for him. That's fine. You crack on, Joe Linton.
He's one of the worst. He's the best at and worst at the same point, isn't he? Like it isn't our form, but it's mad, as you said. It did get checked by VAR, and even the checks by VAR, I don't know why that took another half an hour. You were looking and analysing every little facet of Liverpool's goal.
They were desperate. They were desperate for that to be offside. They were desperate to find something.
Even checking Elliott's tackle as well.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Which, if anything, he was the one fouled. You know what I mean? It's like absolutely madness how long these things take. Just get on with the game. You know what I mean? And then, of course, Liverpool's joy of that celebration. Chiesa running to get that ball out the goal, get back on it, that was completely nullified. And then we just watched it in the corner we just watched it in both corners. Liverpool just couldn't get out, and by then they'd left it too long. Mo Salah again couldn't get in the game, and it was just a mess. The whole thing was just a mess.
Yeah. In terms of, obviously, we've mentioned all the game as well, Chas. He's spot on in terms of possession. You can have all the possession. That famous game against Barcelona and Celtic at the Camp Nou all those years ago, Celtic won the game and come away with like 13% possession that game and won the game. But it's disappointing from an overall sense and point of view in terms of, have a little look at that. Obviously, dominance in terms of the expected XG, dominance from Newcastle passes. In terms of Liverpool, expected better pass and accuracy, but as Eddie alluded to, where are we passing that ball into? Long balls, if we are pumping it up long, it was Dan Burn. It was all day, every single day, every day of the week. Accurate long balls, Liverpool only 41%. Accurate long balls to Newcastle's 37%. So even when we were getting the ball forward, and 2 accurate crosses to Newcastle's, 2 crosses, 67%. So it's just touches in the opposition box, 15 to Newcastle's 13.
Yeah, I think there was a stat that they put up after about 40 minutes or so, and Liverpool had 0 touches in the opposition box. I mean, Luis Diaz's performance was another one. Absolutely embarrassing, that lad today. I mean, he couldn't find his feet. He was awful.
What do you put that down to, though, Eddie? Like, is it what do you put that down to in regards to? Is it a case of the midfielders not getting the forwards the ball? But even as you said, Diaz, the ball just kept on ricocheting, not just off Diaz, but even Salah.
Just a poor day at the office. Another one for him, and just another poor day at the office. You know what I mean? You are asking them to try and conjure up some magic, but I think there's an overriding issue that's a bigger issue here, and there's a small issue. The small issue probably is the effort that some of those players put in today. They just had terrible off days. But the wider issue is, I think, on the manager and the fact that how poorly utilized the squad that he has had. If he wasn't intending to use this squad, then Liverpool should have strengthened in January. They should have bought a couple of players. You know what I mean? If he had this hell-bent idea that he was just going to keep going to the well with these same guys again, then he should have bought some players. It shouldn't have been that you're just going to leave these guys that without any rhythm to come on in games. But he's seen it obviously as a one-off game. Carabao Cup final. Liverpool are still doing amazingly in the league. They should win the league from here, no question. So how critical can you be? Is anyone really setting out to say our objective this year is to win the Carabao Cup final? Don't think so. You know what I mean? I feel sorry for all the people that went there, including Gags, Greg, and Dave Davis, a few of our own Harinda that are all there, and they're having to travel late tonight. They won't be home till very, very late tonight, and they've got to come back after witnessing that and spending their hard-earned cash on travel to a game like that. All those Liverpool fans will be very, very disappointed on that route back today, because the players didn't show up. They didn't do them justice to show up in a cup final and be that poor. There really is no excuse for that. You know what I mean? We can look at the wider implications, but in all honesty, they don't mean that much. The manager was poor. The players were poor. You lose the game.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. And everyone safe travels back home as well. And even the Geordies as well. We know the Geordies. We've all probably got a Geordie mate in our lives, and they all love a good old party anyway. And as you said, they're a proper football club. 70 odd years, and they did fully deserve it. I've already sent out my messages, and then I'm switching off my phone anyway this evening, because they'll be up all night, as we know. But yeah, big up there, Kevin. Mac had a close to burn. Yeah, it wasn't good enough, Kevin. But as obviously Eddie alluded to, it's up to the management in terms of there's a lot of work to do, as Eddie alluded to, the bigger picture of things, really. Many episodes and future episodes will be spoken about, obviously, the transfer, players coming in, potential players coming out as well. So his first time tuning into Anfield Index, hit that subscribe button down below. Win, lose or draw, we get behind the Reds even more. In our difficult moments, but in our good moments as well. You can't win it. We can't win every final, and we found that over the years. And of course, sadly, we couldn't have a Virgil van Dijk winner this evening, but it wasn't to be anyway. I'm limited size, but yeah, no, I don't think we're blaming that Paul anyway. Chiesa was our best player. Scott, he had a good showing. Do you think he'll get an opportunity or do you think it'll be the?
I don't think so.
Guy?
I don't think the manager fancies him. I think it's that simple.
No.
It's a pity because he does show. I mean, he was dreadful in that game against Plymouth, and it's like he's been paying for that ever since. But when he has played with the first team, when he has had his chances, he's looked worth a go, worth way more than he's been given. You know what I mean? It's like I still can't get over the fact he wasn't brought on ahead of Gakpo against PSG because you know what I mean, that one just bemused me. I was glad he got a shot today, but again, it was all a bit too late. You know what I mean? It's easy to say about the starting 11. I know a lot of people are criticizing him for the starting 11, but what would you have really done differently? You know what I mean? Would anyone really have? But if he'd started Endo instead of Grab, if he'd started Elliott instead of Szoboszlai today, now in terms of freshness, that may have worked well. And if you're going to be passive, then that may have been fine as well. And then you can bring on the big guns in the second half. But would anyone really have thought that would have happened today? Because I don't think so. I think it's so easy to analyze this game. Liverpool were crap. You know what I mean? And we just didn't show up. And I think that's the cut and short of it. It's sport. We had the players wouldn't have wanted to show up and deliver that mess, and none of the fans wanted to see that mess, and neither did the manager. But I think the problem you've got is that is the nature of the beast, and that's why we've seen that mess today. This is still a squad massively in development, and with so many questions ahead of what's actually going to happen next, because none of us really know. You know what I mean? There's so many big decisions, and I think it's fair to say that I mean we've blown smoke out the arse of Michael Edwards and Richard Hughes all last summer about what they were going to do. What have those guys really done yet? Now, we've not to see yet the fruits of their labour, but if they're as great as everyone says they are, and people on this channel will praise them to the hilt, including me at times, then where's the evidence of that so far? They've made a brilliant managerial appointment. Bang on, 100%. But what else have they done? What else have we seen? Because we've seen nothing. We've seen no contracts. We've seen no second club. That was apparently what Michael Edwards was brought in to do as part of this new FSG role. We've seen poor decisions in the summer, poor decisions in January. They've got the manager decision, and that's bought them some grace for sure. And Liverpool look like they're going to win the league. I know people are saying in the comments Liverpool look like they'll blow the league. I think that's just PTSD. There's no way Liverpool will blow in this league.
If it was the old City, Eddie, chasing us down, but it's Arsenal, let's be honest. I said that on the watch.
I don't see it. Honestly, with the amount of games we have coming at Anfield, I just can't see. I can't see Liverpool blowing this league. It may be a bit closer than we would have thought, but I still think Liverpool win this within eight. I still think they win this within April. I mean, Arsenal won today, but Chelsea were dreadful, and Arsenal scored as usual from a set piece. And it's just the way it is. You know what I mean? It's like they were nothing special today, and they won't win every game, and even if they did, it's still probably not going to be enough.
Yeah, it's one of them Reds. Don't panic just yet. Anyway, but keep at it. Right? As I said, it was disappointing performance, but to get to a couple of your comments as well. If you had to pick one or two players in terms of maybe you was one of Liverpool's brightest sparks this afternoon, Eddie. I know it's difficult when you've been beaten this afternoon 2-1, but was the player that maybe might have stood out really? That
the only one I could say came on, and I thought Robertson was okay. But I mean, he couldn't really do much. You know what I mean? He wasn't in the game enough. Thought it was okay. The only one I would say was really good when he came on was Chiesa. I thought he was excellent. Darwin was just floating about like someone that didn't know what he was doing. Strange, bizarre decision making at times from him again. Curtis Jones was okay. Harvey Elliott looked busy and interested when he came on. But other than that, really, I don't think you can say that anyone came out with much credit. Didn't think Van Dijk was all that great, and Marshall showing leadership today. Didn't think he was much. We've got a super chat there, so you best go for that one.
There we go. Ianis, under $10. Massive thank you, bud.
Thank you,
massive thank you, mate. Slot not trusting Chiesa and other bench players. Slot hoofing the ball against man marking. Slot taking off the penalty takers against Paris Saint-Germain. Slot having McAllister and to mark Dan Burn on corners. Do you reply to that, Eddie, if you want?
All fair points. I can't argue with any of them. I think they're points I've kind of made myself during this show. I didn't make the point about the penalty takers in PSG because with that one, yes, he took them off, but they look gassed. You know what I mean? And I think he was always intending, I think we know by what happened at PSG, he was always intending on starting those guys in this final because he just doesn't move from that. You know what I mean? If plan A fails, keep trying plan A. That seems to be the way that seems to be the way he goes.
Yeah, and that's been one thing. Massive thank you for that, Yanis, and much appreciated, bud. And as everyone, if you want to get your comments read out as well, make sure you are dropping your super chats in the comment section below so we can get straight to them as well, bud. But it was that the thing that massively disappointed me, and it was that nature of lobbing all these subs on, Eddie, there was no real clear direction or clear understanding really of the players of where to be. And I know, let's hope we can win the league, and we've got an unassailable lead. We've done well, but I think in terms of going into next season and looking past this season as well, that bit more technical understanding. Obviously, Arne, we've seen how well he's done with this squad so far up until this point. But I think there's certain players that were just getting lobbed on today. You've mentioned Darwin Núñez. Certain players, when you're watching, there's no technical understanding from their point of view as well. It's one thing the manager's saying, right, come on, do this, and the technical staff, but there was certain players that really, for me, in that second half, and not just analysing today's performance, but certain moments this season where I need to be seeing more, and it was a passing of the guards, really, in certain players' performances. I felt this afternoon of an end of an era for certain individual players that it's sad, but at the end of the day, good players will come and go from Liverpool, and the most important thing is Liverpool continue to chain the wheel and keep up this momentum, mate. But it was disappointing in terms of just that I wanted a bit more control, a bit more stamping your authority on the game. But it's difficult when Newcastle have been. But I don't know how you feel on that regard.
Well, I think Liverpool had a game plan, and the game plan at the start was to retain the ball, to not take any risks, to try and nullify Newcastle's press in the first half. I think that was all the game plan was. And then Liverpool were going to look to be the stronger and more comfortable side in the second half as Newcastle tired from all their going forward exertions and a bit of nerves set in. And that just never happened. You know what I mean? Newcastle getting their goal just before half time was absolutely the perfect time to score. And then they scored again at the perfect time just after the break when Liverpool again didn't show up. So in terms of the overriding thing, in terms of that sort of last dance, last dance scenario, then maybe this is the last dance of the Klopp team, and then next year we see what Slot can do with some of his own players, because we've not seen that yet. Obviously, that's something we don't know. But I think that he's seen today that his use of the fringe players has been very, very poor. You know what I mean? I don't think there's any real doubt about that. And I'm saying that again, and I have to keep repeating it again with Liverpool 12 points clear at the top of the league. So it's Would you have taken less points? Let's just say, would you have taken less points? And less points now. Let's say Liverpool had a 4-point or a 5-point lead. Let's even say 6, half the points. Would you have taken that for a Carabao Cup win today? You know what I mean? Not many would. Not many would. Most, if we're being honest, would have taken the 12 points and said, fuck the Carabao Cup. Sorry for swearing. It's passion. It's passion. It's passion. Yeah. So I think I don't think many fans would have want to sacrifice that and 12-point lead for a Carabao Cup. I just don't think that would happen. And equally, Liverpool have got a very tough last 3 or 4 fixtures in the Premier League season as well. So I think they want that league done before trips to Chelsea, before Arsenal come to Anfield. You know what I mean? I think they want this league done. So that's why Slot's just put his foot on the pedal, and he's not trusted Chiesa, Elliott, Endo, Jones to some extent as well. That's why he's gone the way he has, I think. And today was almost just like the culmination of some of those decisions.
Yeah, Simba must be a Manchester United fan. Enjoy your weekend, mate. Enjoy your time in the sun. Annie Slaughter's an elite manager anyway, but not going to bring that up anyway. Not getting baited. Yeah, I tell you, the Premier League, and as you alluded to there, Eddie, I think certainly moments like today and moments within the season, over the 38-game season as well, Arne certainly would have learned a lot off the back of today's performance about individual players going into next season and beyond. But yeah, it's going to be one of them. I think Bob Paisley lost his first final. Was it the FA Cup, the League Cup? Yeah, so
they got beat by Nottingham Forest in '78.
Yeah, so I'd have to watch a couple of documentaries on certain YouTubes and all that. But yeah, it's hopefully that's a kind of an omen, really. And Bob didn't do too bad, did he, at Liverpool anyway, winning the 3 European Cups, and the rest is history. In terms of anything really you want to add in terms of this analysis, Eddie, in terms of the second half, and any other individual performances that you were very much disappointed with? Or
yeah, I mean the performances, you could go through the whole team player by player and pick what they did wrong. Quansah didn't look like a right back Again, we didn't really have a right back today. You know what I mean? Newcastle doubled up on him at times, and they made sure that they were getting past him by doubling up on him. It was quite a clear game plan that worked well for Eddie Howe there. They seized upon that, whereas Liverpool had what Newcastle didn't have Lewis Hall and Anthony Gordon, and Liverpool did nothing on that side. You know what I mean? We couldn't get the ball to Mohamed Salah. His heat map will be absolutely dreadful because he was hardly in the game. That's your strongest elite player in a cup final, and he's completely underutilized. It's easy to pan him and say his performance was poor, but how much of the ball did he really see? It reminded me of some of those games early, not last season, but season before, where he was just stuck out on the touchline. He just really couldn't do anything. And I think that's the most damning indictment of all for a cup final where your best player isn't really in the game.
Yeah, that's the Salah heat map there. Chat, if you can see, I'll try and zoom in a little bit if we can. Well, you're spot on there, mate. You need to be seeing, obviously, Salah there, chat. Obviously, next to no really touches. Have a little look at Jota as well, in terms of his heat map when he had the ball. Only
look at
again,
that. That's just nothing.
That's not exactly what you need.
I mean, where is he in the box on any of that? You know what I mean? It's
nothing. Let's have a quick look in terms of comparing him into Isaac's heat map. Is it going to be all penalty box, the majority of them, and the most?
Well, it's going to be on the line, but it's going to mainly be on that line because Liverpool were holding their high line, so that was where all Liverpool's possession was. So that's where Isaac was. You know what I mean? And he didn't have to do much inside the box, but when he did, he did. You know what I mean? When he was needed to.
So, Chas, it's going to be it's disappointing in all honesty, Reds. In terms of, have a little look in terms of the give me 1 second here, Chas. Trying to get the so in terms of the total passes really from Liverpool, let's take away that. In terms of trying to tackles attempted, trying to find the. Do apologise, Chas. Trying to find the passing accuracy really. I think when I've seen it before, Jota. There we go. Passing success rate, obviously Jota. 40% passing success rate, really not good enough. You're looking at Salah 76%, so Diaz a bit slightly better.
Look at the fullbacks. Look at how weak they are.
Yeah, 75 to 77. Livramento had a very good game. Aerials won. Let's have a little look at that in terms of aerial bombardment from only one-headed and Canate Van Dijk. You could go through these in terms of corners as well. Yeah, dispossessed. Salah, surprised, obviously Szoboszlai. So you can go through them, and it very much tells its own picture, really, doesn't it, Eddie? But as you said, it's you can look at all the stats for all night, really. But the most important one is obviously the disappointing performance from Liverpool. But one thing that you want a bit more is that energy within the squad and everything, but it wasn't to be. But it's quickly rattle through a couple of closing comments. Chat, if you got any super chats or whatnot, get them in just before we do conclude in a little next 5-10 minutes anyway. But Yanis, thanks for being the reason for Liverpool. Nice one, mate. Massive thank you for everyone tuning in, buds. You make it, obviously, YouTube and obviously Anfield Index has been going for 14 long years. And the lads have been in the background as always. So if you are discovering us for the first time, there's plenty of great content. Head over to AnfieldIndex.com. Obviously, again, if you want to listen to all the audio podcasts, you can join the Discord for free. And of course, if you do become an Anfield Index member, it's £3.33 a month. Eradicates all the adverts, but obviously you can listen to the live studio recordings, the post-match Raw, probably getting recorded now, might have been concluded. Probably a bit similar with me and Eddie. We don't really want to go for another hour and a half. I'd love to anyway, but I don't think Eddie was anyway.
I'm sure Hendrik will find plenty more to say than I have.
Yeah, it's all good. All good. So tune into the post-match road anyway. And obviously the final whistle is if you love your Premier League content, Ben and Nina are covering that this evening live as we are now. But
we'll not go away during the international break. David Lynch will be on with Dave Davis tomorrow. There's going to be plenty of content coming your way over the international break. I mean, 17 days is a long time for Liverpool not to play, so it's a big window of content for us to try and fill. But we if we had won the cup, it would have made it a lot easier. But after this performance, it's not going to be so easy to know what to focus on. But I think everyone, fans, players, manager, everyone alike, probably just needs to clear their heads now. We had that period where we talked about that 5 Premier League games in 15 days, and the big thing with that was that everyone was saying that Liverpool could win the league effectively within that period, or pretty much win the league, and they did that. and then it's what's happened after that. Since that win, obviously last week against Southampton, what's happened after that, going out the Champions League, losing this cup final, the wheels have just kind of come off. We could have probably done, if we're being greedy, with the international break coming after Southampton and then returning for the Champions League and the cup final after that international break. But this international break has actually come at a good time, I think, for Liverpool and the players and Slot and us as the fans. You know what I mean? Just to kind of get away from it all, come back. 9 games to close out in this league season, and the Premier League title should be on its way to Anfield, no doubt about it. You know what I mean? You shouldn't worry during this international break about that based on that performance today. The weight of history was against us today, and the players in the red shirts just didn't show up.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100% spot on. And as Kay said, and I think if you just tuned in, if you're a Newcastle fan, we give you a lot of plaudits, rightly so, about your lads' performances today. As Eddie said, 70 years of history weighed heavy on many of the Newcastle players. Even Shearer didn't win trophies. He had to go to Blackburn to actually win a league title. But tell you, they'll be enjoying that as well. But as David said, poor today, we were buds. But yeah, as Dave said, 11 games big. They're all big, as Eddie's just alluded to, David. Strap in, get ready for the Premier League. And if we do get it over the line, we will get it over the line. There'll be one massive party on Merseyside come at the end of May. And we'll all enjoy it, not just on Merseyside, but around the world. Liverpool equal and Manchester United 20 leagues. And they can't quite sing that.
Yeah, there's every chance what you've just witnessed there today is the worst that we'll get. You know what I mean? You have to think positively. You have to think that was ground zero today, and that everything that's to come for the rest of the season is going to be much more positive. That even if we do lose another game, it won't be like that. It won't be one that Liverpool are out fought on and outskilled on. I don't see that happening again. I just think that was a one-off game in a final where one side wanted it way more than the other side, and one side played way better than the other side. And hopefully that's the last we see of that. I mean, for all our sakes, let's just hope so. And even if Liverpool do lose another game, as I say, I don't see it being like that. I mean, someone saying there, David saying there, that the Everton game is massive for us. Well, the Everton game's always massive. Nothing never changes with that one. And they'll want it. They aren't losing games. They're drawing games, but they're not losing games under David Moyes. So that's a big challenge for sure. But even if Liverpool didn't win that, we've earned the right not to win that. I hope they do. Of course, we all do after a 17-day break. Hope we come back and absolutely smash them. We're definitely due them one after what happened at Goodison a few weeks ago. So let's hope that we sort them out good and proper. But it's one of those that it's because of the gap that we've given ourselves. Arsenal have to go on the most insane run with us losing, we're even drawing all our games. You know what I mean? We have to lose games and they have to win all of their games. You know what I mean? And they've got a Champions League game coming up, home and away against Real Madrid. You know what I mean? And they've got to play Premier League games around that. There's no danger that Liverpool aren't winning this league. There isn't. And I'm normally always a glass half empty kind of person. It's normally the way I am. But I'm not in this case. The Premier League is as good as done. It really is. And obviously, if I have to ram those words down my throat come the end of the season, then so be it. But I don't think I will. And nothing that happened today changes my mind on that.
Yeah, 100%, mate. We try and me and Eddie. I know I get quite a bit giddy on my watch longs, but it's being a fan as well. I was disappointed, but Eddie's spoke already perfectly on tonight's show. Like all of us, there's got to be a bit of rationale really from all of us. We're top of the league. That was the biggest prize of it, as Eddie said at the top of the show. If you could have asked any Liverpool fan, all of us, would you be in this position and get the big main one over the line come at the end of May? But just enjoy it. And just enjoy this Liverpool Football Club. At the end of the day, Newcastle, and this is where we won this competition last season. We're the record holders of the competition as well. But you can't win them all. But at the end of the day, get behind them. And as we said, 9 cup finals in the league as well. They are finals, and the lads will 100% get the job over the line, no matter how it is anyway. But as Kay said there, Slots hasn't rotated enough using a starting 11, but it's one of them, Darren. Like most managers, he's went with the squad that he thinks could have got that over the line. And if it wasn't to be anyway, but as we've said, plenty of great LFC content to come in the international break, as Eddie's alluded to, many transfer news shows and a lot more great other content to come as well. But Eddie, final closing thoughts before we do shoot off here, mate, from you?
Yeah, I don't think we should be too disappointed by this. I kind of made my peace with it. I was supposed to go to this game actually, and I changed. Well, something came up at home that meant I couldn't go in the end, so I sold my ticket. And I'm glad I'm not having to travel back and get home at about 1 a.m. this morning. That's for sure. But it's I was there last year to see it. I was there 2 years before that when we beat Chelsea. It's a great day out for the fans normally, but today hasn't been our day. And we're going to have a lot of disappointed people traveling back. Let's hope they all travel back safely and everyone get ready for what's to come after the international break, because the evenings are going to get lighter here in the UK. The sun's going to shine a bit more. The temperature's going to get a little bit warmer. And as that period comes, Liverpool are going to be celebrating a 20th Premier League title. So we'd have all taken, I hate that line normally where everyone says, oh, I'd bet your hand up, but we'd have all taken this at the start of the season. Let's not pretend at all. You know what I mean? New manager, Klopp leaving, Liverpool, Man City falling off the way they have, Liverpool on the ascendancy to 20 title. We'd have all taken this in a heartbeat. So let's not be too down on what's happened today. It was disappointing. It was a horrible, horrible performance. And let's just hope that everyone can bounce back from this, fans, players, manager alike, and round off what it's been a really good season. You know what I mean? We haven't lost any games until this week that mattered. I mean, there was the Forest one, but that doesn't even look like it's going to particularly matter because we're going to romp this league. So I think that it's crazy that we've lost twice in a week in games that really matter, and it's obviously derailed the season in those cup competitions. But all we have left is the league. That's all. All we have left is the league. Listen to those words. The league, the Premier League.
Yeah, and that's rival fans' tears will be enjoyed come at the end of May when we get our hands on the 20th league title. Where's their football club? Just ask them anyway. All about that. Ross saying quickly on Jota. Yeah, it wasn't just Jota though, mate, was it? It was a disappointing performance, but plenty of shows to come as well. Already on Anfield Index, Ross. Check that out as well. But as we said, obviously Dave Davis and David Lynch have already mentioned on the Media Matters that will be live tomorrow. They'll be certainly speaking about transfers and everything. But
sorry, Jack, put that comment from the second, not the first one where she's having a pop at David Lynch, but the second one from Mary Nelson. Pop that one up.
Which one's on? That was the bottom one, yeah.
Yeah, the bottom one, yeah.
Yeah. Enjoyed what not long ago. We were in 4 cups. Now look, if you not know what kind of forces you both are, it means nothing to you. But believe what I'm hearing. Big up there, Mary.
Where has anyone said it means nothing? Where's anyone said that? Because I'm lost with that one, Mary. I don't know. You can't believe what you're hearing. Maybe you need a hearing aid, Mary, because that's not what anyone said here.
No.
I'm struggling, Mary. I'm really struggling with that. I don't. If we wanted to compete on 4 fronts and 4 cups,
it's impossible.
Where was the squad to do that? Where was the strengthening in the summer window? Where was the strengthening in the January window, which on this channel we were all calling for? You know what I mean? If we wanted to go all the way in the Champions League, then Slot had to have players he could trust. He didn't do that, and he's not used those players. And then the players that he's asked to go to the well time and time again have been asked to go time and time again, and the wheels have come off. Now, hopefully, the wheels haven't come off to such an extent that it's going to affect the Premier League. But the wheels have come off in the Cups. And that's the downside of that. You know what I mean? So it's not, no one's saying that they don't care about it. Of course you do. You want to win every game as a supporter. You want to win the quadruple. You want to win the treble. Then you want to win the double. As long as there's a trophy on the line, you want to win it. But I'm sorry, no one here is saying it means nothing to them. That's just nonsense.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, nice one, everyone, for your comments as well. But as I said, we want to be winning, as Eddie said, and rewind. What are we like? We're live for 42 minutes. I think you've just tuned in. So rewind to the beginning of the episodes. But yeah, we want to be seeing Liverpool, as Eddie said, win every single game. But yeah, just go and rewind back and you'll see what we've actually said. It's difficult for anyone when you consume any form of media, taking 30 seconds out of an hour's long video. Just rewind. But big up their chat as well. Goal. Yes. The thing is, he's ran into a brick wall as well, and there's going to be games where Salah, and there's it's not just a Salah show. And
Salah's observing Ramadan at the moment as well, so he's not going to have the energy levels. But for whatever reason, Slot hasn't trusted Chiesa on that right hand side. He just hasn't done it, and Salah hasn't been rotated, and then you see the results of that as well. These are all factors. And Slot said when he was asked about it that he wouldn't normally sub Mo Salah. I don't know if he's scared of the reaction. Obviously, there's contract discussions going on with Mo Salah as well. Any little headline that they can get from Salah being in a huff about being substituted is going to make massive waves. Maybe Slot's too scared to sub him. Who knows? You know what I mean? There might be something in that. because he doesn't do it, and he should, and he doesn't. You know what I mean? Salah wants to play in every game, and he left him out of the cup, and he left him out of the PSV, but he left others out of those as well. And Salah's never, ever really substituted because we've hardly seen anything of Chiesa.
100%. As Ross has said, nothing wrong with being positive about upcoming historic. Yeah, Ross. At the end of the day, I think every supporter for the next 5 years, if we could go for 5 league titles on the bounce and win any other, and we don't win any other trophies, I think we'd all take that. If you could go fast forward 5 years ahead of time and say, "Oh, see, you can be consistent in the league." Every single supporter of Liverpool, whatever era of Liverpool you grew up in, the priority for every single Liverpool team under Bill, under Shankly, and obviously Bob Paisley as well. Thankfully, Klopp won us the league title, but he made us into a certain period, certain season, a bastion of invincibility, an absolute juggernaut. But it's an important next 12 months. But let's not forget we've got a lot of quality in the squad as well. And Ross, just enjoy it. It's part of being a fan as well. Final one this evening, Matthias. Well, Eddie, I think it will do, won't it? I think you've mentioned already.
Yeah, I mean, Gags has been saying that all along, that this one game a week thing is going to mean we probably see even less rotation if there is such a thing. You know what I mean? You're not going to see much of, I think you may not see Chiesa again after today. You know what I mean? That might be it. Because there's not going to be the same need to rotate now. And Liverpool going into each game with a week in between and time to train, time to recover, that's going to be a very good thing for the league. You know what I mean? As negative as it, and today would have made no difference to that because this was just a one-off game. There's no extra games as a result of this. You know what I mean? And lo and behold, we haven't qualified for the Conference League today. So it's there's that one disappointment, but hopefully the Champions League qualification will be confirmed within the next couple of weeks, and then we get to go and do it all again next year.
Yeah, we will be there. We will be there in the Champions League. And I think certainly even before Jurgen Klopp come in, I think needs to be some rationale from all of us anyway. I think certainly, I think we all remember those days on Channel 5 with Roy and the Jovanoviches up front when we were playing. It's like Gerrard was surrounded by absolute dross. Like, we've come a long way in the last 7-8 years, and we're in a very good shape, aren't we, Eddie? The final closing point.
We are, and we just have to hope that the club do back the manager who's earned it. He's earned every right to be back this summer, and we do hope that they get these contract situations sorted out, and that the transfer market is a good one for us this summer to be able to do what Mary wants, which is to compete on all these fronts, because that's what we all want as fans. You know what I mean? And hopefully we can get the players that allow us to do that, because at the moment the players are in the squad and we don't have many injuries, but Slot doesn't want to use them, and he hasn't. Until today, we haven't seen some of these guys. And that's unfortunate because they're not in the rhythm, and then they're expected to show up and work miracles. And that's every now and then in football that will happen, but it doesn't happen all the time. And Liverpool have had a bad day today, and they had a bad day on Wednesday night, but we now get a breather. We're going into an international break. You can focus on the other important things or less important things in your life that get you up each morning. You know what I mean? And as I say, we'll still be keeping the content going. There'll be plenty more Liverpool content coming during that period. But we just have to congratulate Newcastle and their fans. I won't congratulate anyone in terms of their ownership, because I can't agree with the way the sports washing nature of that club. But for their fans especially, it's been a long overdue, and unfortunately we're on the receiving end of that after all these years. It's Liverpool that have to be on the receiving end of it, but if Liverpool didn't get to finals, then we wouldn't be on the receiving end of it. So we got there, it just wasn't good enough in the end, and their name was probably on the cup all along with the way they dismissed Arsenal in the semi-final, and it just seemed to be everything just seemed to go for them today, and that's mainly driven by what the decisions that their players made and their manager, rather than the poor performances of our players and our manager, because we were poor, but they deserve to win, and that's the way football is sometimes.
Spot on, mate. And just looking at it quickly as well, like they've beaten Forest on the run to this final, Newcastle, they beat Wimbledon, they beat Chelsea, beat Brentford, beat Arsenal, as you alluded to there in the semis, and they've beaten Liverpool. So they've had some run.
Yeah, they've had a hard run, so have we. You know what I mean? None of us got Man City runs. We didn't have to play the dog and duck in the fourth round and Forest Green in the semi-finals or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's we've had to actually play proper teams to get this far, and so have they.
Yeah, 100%, mate. But quickly, for final comments from Barry. Well done to Newcastle, and say we've outplayed us today. Nice to see that kind of team. But once, but gutting. It is gutting, Barry, but we go again, mate. We've got a 20th league title to win, but get that over the line, and certainly. But Reds, but yeah, if you can't do it by but big up there, Reds. Make sure you do get your comments in the comment section below as well. Make sure you are watching the repeat. Do get your comments in. You're absolute legends and much appreciated. Massive thank you, Eddie, for joining me. Gags,
Pleasure.
if you are tuning in, I mean, you'll be enjoying yourself, Gags. If you are watching,
if we'd won, we might have brought him on from Wembley. But I wouldn't do that to the poor lad now. He'll be queuing up in that massive queue to get back on a train out of Wembley. So it'll be a long night for those boys. And best wishes to everyone coming back. And you won't have to put up with me again. I'm pretty sure Gags is available. Oh no, he's going to 2 games at Anfield towards the end of the season, so someone else might have to step in. But I don't know if I've jinxed it now, and maybe I'm not a good option.
There we go. But Reds, have a lovely rest of your evening as well. Geordies, enjoy it. Well overdue. 70 odd years to wait. Let's hope from their point of view they're not waiting another 70 years, but I think they can very much enjoy that and savour it. But Liverpool, it won't be the last League Cup final we'll be in, especially under Arne Slot anyway. We'll be back again very soon. But Reds, look after yourself. Massive thank you for everyone that has tuned in, Reds. And as always, you never walk alone. Hit that subscribe button down below. And we'll see you. Obviously, plenty of shows coming out tomorrow. Put your bell notification on as well. But ta-da, Reds.